Hello, hello, hello. This is Tamika Peters, President and CEO of Grow Your Nonprofit, where we help startups, small and stagnant nonprofits grow through fundraising strategies, strategic planning, and so much more. Guys, today we're going to talk to McKinley, who is a student of our Starting Your Nonprofit Masterclass. He's going to tell you about his experience and the things he learned about starting a nonprofit and how to stay in compliance for your nonprofit. But before we get started, I like to thank the sponsors of my podcast, Vax Truths. They received a grant from the CDC to raise awareness of COVID-19 and vaccine resources in the Black and Brown communities. AVID. That stands for the Associations of Haitians Living Abroad. They just opened an amazing support center right here in the beautiful Fort Myers, where they will help you with immigration support, utility billing, and English as a second language. Last but not least, Trinity Life Foundation Naples, helping at-risk youth through their enrichment programs. So, guys, like I said, my special guest here, McKinley Williams with the SWFL Chronicle Newspaper, one of the top newspapers in the community that keeps you informed, and so much more. How are you doing today, McKinley?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. So this is our second podcast together.
Well, second, that's a great number.
Yes. Remember the first podcast, and you said you hope to come back, and if you didn't come back, then we wouldn't be friends anymore.
Right, that's correct.
So this is me securing our friendship, making sure that he comes back on at least quarterly basis so that we can record our podcast, because McKinley is a wealth of knowledge. A little bit?
Just a teeny bit.
Just a teeny bit. Guys, don't believe him. He's very smart. He's very smart. So today, first I want to thank you.
Yes.
Because today is a Saturday. You could have been doing so many other things, but you came out to the Steps to Starting Your Nonprofit Masterclass because you felt it was important. Why did you feel this masterclass was important?
Well, I came because, number one, I always, I believe in doing business with people who do business with me, from my Wall Street background as well, and so a lot of my mentors taught me that. But when I came, I never take anything for granted. And in terms of the master class, as far as growing your nonprofit, I thought I knew everything. And it was very, very humbling experience, because I thought it was something as simple as, go ahead and register with the state, get an EIN number, what have you. But I didn't know that there were so many different aspects and types of nonprofits that serve different other parameters as well.
Right. So during the master class, we had a frequently asked questions spreadsheet. We also had all the different types of nonprofits. There are over 22 different types of nonprofits. Right?
Correct.
From the most general type that most people know is a 501c3. But guess what, guys? There's a world beyond 501c3. We have credit unions. We have, if you want to, professional sports team, like the NFL is a nonprofit. You have Suncoast Credit Union, Achieva Credit Union. Those are nonprofits. Lee Health Hospital, Medical Center, they're a nonprofit. So there's all different types of nonprofits. And you mentioned earlier when you were talking about the testimonial, a lot of nonprofit founders think, okay, I can just do it myself. I'll file the paperwork. But if you check the wrong box, that could get you in a lot of trouble and delay the process. And then you're really spinning your wheels because, okay, let's just say you got your nonprofit status. Now what?
Well,
let's talk about the component.
Let me share this with you. I'm so glad I took this class because, like I said, foundation is everything. That's whether you're in sports, exercise, what have you, regardless of whether you want to go into public, private, what have you. The foundation is everything. And I figured, okay, fine, I can just go ahead and register with the state, go ahead and get an EIN number and get started. But the thing about it is that if you don't have an expert that knows the different aspects of it, like I said, you can, click on the wrong thing, check the wrong box, thinking you're getting it in. And not just that you're saving money, and it's actually costing you more money exponentially, but more importantly, your time, your headache. Watch this, and all those people you said, we're gonna have this launched by this date, we're gonna have this done by that date. Guess what? You're going to have egg in your face because there's going to be so much of the day when the IRS says, well, you can't do this, send me this paperwork, send me that paperwork. And that process can actually take up to a year.
Yes.
And then what are you going to tell the people that that you promised certain things in terms of what you were going to do by specific time frames?
Yeah, that's very important because, then you have your strategic plan, you have your nonprofit, you have the adopting your budget, drafting your bylaws, selecting the right board members. Let's talk about the importance of selecting the right board members.
Let me tell you something. When I saw that, it kind of it kind of pricked me because I understand the importance of board. I understand the importance of leadership. And I've also been taught that once you select your 20th person in any organization, you've just set your corporate culture. Mm-hmm. So when that particular segment of the class meant everything to me. Mm-hmm. And for me, I know it's going to be a cornerstone for me as well, because I understand the importance of it. Also understand the importance of people when you select on a board. And I've always been taught, when people come to your board or you put someone on your board, they have to bring one of three things: money, influence, or power.
That's right.
If they're not bringing one of those three things, they do not need to be on the board.
That's right.
More importantly, when you're dealing with nonprofits, unfortunately, a lot of nonprofits try to put their family members on, and they do that so they don't release control.
Right.
Because on a nonprofit, you can actually be voted out of your own nonprofit, even though you started it.
Right.
And some people put that as a safeguard, but at the same time, they don't realize that they're basically, for lack of a better word, castrating all the opportunities that they can have if they bring on those experts who are smarter than they are. When I look at board of directors, my thing is I want to make sure I have people that are smarter than I am. And when you deal with nonprofits, guess what? There's so many other different types of businesses that can actually pour into what you have.
Yes.
And you want to create it so that you have a brain trust on that board of directors as well.
That's absolutely correct, because your nonprofit could make you or break you. And I always emphasize, and I'm trying to change the mindset for people to run their nonprofit like a business from the start. So if you think about Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, the top companies in the world, look at their board of directors. They're not putting their mamas and their daddies and their cousins on the board. They're putting the top people from other companies on their board because they want the best and the brightest on their board, so their company could be profitable to their shareholders.
And,
right?
not just that, not to cut you off, but the thing is, when you do that, the strategic alliances that you make, I mean, I mean, you can't even fathom the level of contacts, the level of influence, and not just that, the level of support, the indirect financial influence that it entails as well.
Yeah. So, of course, you want your board members to be passionate about your cause, your mission, your vision, and your core values. But it's a win-win for the board member, too, because not only are they making an impact by serving on your board and connecting you with their network and helping you raise money. You talked about the alliances that you're forming, someone you may even doing business with. And, what's the saying? Your network determines your net worth.
Exactly.
There you have it.
Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned that. When you just said that, I thought about something, I don't want to say his first name, but Mr. Miko taught me. He said, McKinley, never think with your pockets, think with other people's pockets who are on your board. So you always want to make sure that people on your board are smarter than you and have more money and more influence, more power, and more connection than you have.
Right, exactly.
In order for your company and or nonprofit to be successful.
Right. So let's talk about the benefits of running your nonprofit like a business. Now you're armed with this knowledge. Now you know about the importance of hiring experts, because I like to use the analogy. If you wanted to build a house, I mean, if you could physically build the house yourself, how it would take you maybe a year, because if you had a full-time job, or you could hire a contractor, right, a general contractor to build a house for you in 4 to 5 months. Or if you had a toothache, you're going to go to the dentist, right?
Correct.
So I probably going to go to an ophthalmologist or optometrist. So why would you go in this alone thinking that you could do it yourself, right? Hire the expert who's run several nonprofits, who got a certificate at one of the top fundraising schools in the country, and I have the benefit of working with multiple different types of nonprofits, and I see the challenges they have, and I bring that value back when I work with my clients. So things that I've seen, some of the troubles, some of the pitfalls to avoid. That's actually a book that I have coming out, 12 Pitfalls of Running a Nonprofit.
I can't wait to read that also, because I got to humble myself and say this. I was going to move forward, and I'm glad I came to the master class. And because if I had not come there, I would have definitely had egg on my face, because there's so many different things that are involved in nonprofits that you have to have an expert if you want it to be successful. If you want it to be successful, and if you want it done the right way.
Right.
And if you don't want to get entangled or have to deal with the IRS, particularly since they have 175,000 new agents coming, you definitely don't want that problem.
Yeah.
So you got to hire an expert whether you want to or not.
Yeah, you definitely have to have that. So before we wrap up, Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience? Something that you didn't know, now you know, or a recommendation or anything?
Yeah, I got a great recommendation. Don't make the mistake that I almost made had I not come here and figure you can do it on your own. Watch this. You can do it on your own. There's a lot of things that we can do on our own. Yeah. But guess what? Why go through the learning curve? Why spend the money? And why waste your time correcting a problem? Because you're going to have a problem unless you have an expert. You're going to have an IRS problem. You're going to have a credibility problem because all the people that you promised that you would have certain things done by a certain time frame, you're not going to meet those time frames. And more importantly, you're going to have a problem in terms of an emotional problem because you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated. You got to deal with the IRS. You got to deal with the people who you've promised certain things with. And not only that, you may get sidetracked from what you set out to do in terms of the service you want to provide for your nonprofit, because you're basically dealing with stuff that you would not have had to deal with had you went ahead and hired an expert that deals with it.
Exactly. Oh, excuse me. And also, guys, when you start a nonprofit, you're starting a business.
Correct.
The only difference is you're not paying taxes. It's your tax exemption status. Guess what? You need startup costs. Just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean people are just going to come out the woodworks and give you money.
Correct.
I say, really, you need about $10,000 startup costs. Because not only if you decide to hire a consultant, you also have your branding. You're going to need a website to look credible. You're going to need a professional email address. You're going to need business cards, brochures, social media. You could do that on your own, or you can outsource that. I say there's two positions from the start that you need to outsource. Number one is your bookkeeping.
Correct.
You want your bookkeeper to make sure they file your 990 on the annual basis, generate your profit and loss statements, hand that over to your treasurer every month, report on that at each meeting. Second thing, once you start generating some income, an assistant to take some of the things off your plate so you can work on your nonprofit and not in your nonprofit. Working on your nonprofit allows you to scale your nonprofit. It's hard to scale by yourself. It's better to scale with the team. So what's the saying? In order to elevate, you have to delegate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So especially if you're providing a service.
You better delegate.
Yeah, especially if you're providing a service, because one of you is not going to go very far, right? But if you duplicate yourself by hiring people, and they don't have to be W-2 employees, they could be contractors. There are a lot of people who do freelance work. There are a lot of people, some people could work virtually in another country for you. You can go on Upwork, Fiverr, some of those entities, and hire people to do specific tasks for you, to take that off your plate so you can focus on going to lunch with people like McKinley or movers and shakers and CEOs of large companies, where you're actually building an alliance, and it could be a future donor for your nonprofit. Yeah,
because the thing is, when you're over that particular nonprofit, your presence with people is important. The connection is important. The palm press, the lunches, the plays, the different aspects, the banquets, the galas.
Yes.
Your presence, and is paramount. It's going to make or break you. Because when people receive that envelope in the mail, because let me tell you something, the people you're targeting to give money, they get asked, they get solicited all the time. But they're going to, when they see that name of your nonprofit, there's going to be a connection there with it immediately. And matter of fact, even the receptionist, the administrative assistant, when they see this particular mail come from XYZ, that particular nonprofit, they know, they better get this particular correspondence to the CEO so they can make a decision and just tell them how much should they write the check for.
Exactly. So you touched on two things. Number one, you touched on making that connection, because during the masterclass, we talked about, you talked about marketing, and I said, what's the second thing you need to outsource? You mentioned marketing and PR. And I said, for your events. And I said, well, do you think someone would donate if they saw your event in the paper or online or somewhere? Or would they probably buy a ticket or make a donation because McKinley picked up the phone, and ask them.
Correct.
Because you have the relationship with McKinley, and you automatically, bing, the light bulb went off. You knew the relationships. So I say that to say is the relationships, because you can market all day, but really that's why it's paramount to have the right board members and the right ambassadors on your team who'll be able to pick up the phone and talk to people who they have relationships with.
Correct.
And ask them to make a donation to your nonprofit. You're just going to scale.
And that's why it's so important to have an expert that knows what they're doing, because if not, you'll be spending so much time doing the menial things that it matters, it's important, but it really doesn't matter, and you're not able to get out there and make that connection with the people that you need to make to sustain your nonprofit.
Exactly. Because oftentimes I have people, they're so excited to start a nonprofit, the first thing they want to have is an event. And then when I told McKinley about events, I said, well, you're fundraising. You said fundraising? Let me write that down.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're raising money, but when you calculate the expenses that are related to hosting that event, as well as your time, you're probably losing money.
Yeah, you're definitely losing money. You're losing money.
You're losing money.
Especially starting out, you're losing money.
Yeah, so that's why I say you're really fundraising. But the key is to what's the follow-up after the event? What's the plan to follow up with these people, to turn these people into donors and get them engaged and involved to your nonprofit so you can lower your cost of acquisition. So with that said, McKinley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I'm listen. You saved me a lot of headache.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm being very real. You saved me a lot of headache, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of frustration, a lot of embarrassment. Because it's what I learned today just changed my trajectory in terms of what needs to be done as it relates to moving forward regarding nonprofits in general. Well,
thank you, McKinley. I'm happy that I was able to make an impact and you could raise awareness of other people who are thinking about starting a nonprofit to consider the other options and to take the Grow Your Nonprofit Masterclass of steps on starting a nonprofit. So guys, you heard it here. Another person in the community who's thinking about starting a nonprofit, who's going to proceed with more caution and he's armed with education of really what's the ins and outs of running a nonprofit, because you are starting a business, the importance of startup costs, building a great team of board members, and then really thinking about your mission, your vision, and your core values of your nonprofit. So that is successful.
May I share this?
Sure.
I'm telling everyone out there, listen, even if you want to do your own thing, take this class first. Once you take this class, all right, a light bulb is definitely going to go on, and you're going to realize that you need help. I don't care how smart you are, whether you have a GED or a PhD, you're going to realize once you take this class what you need to do. The worst thing to do is start something and not know what you need to do. So do yourself a favor, take the class so that you can grow your nonprofit properly.
Oh, thank you. That was a great plug. That's a great plug. We'll have to make that into a reel. We'll have to definitely make that into a reel.
But Herb and copyright.
Yes. So guys, you heard it here. Another amazing person in the community who's a mover and shaker, making an impact. As much as you know, we're not experts in all categories, and we're not meant to be. God gives certain gifts and talents to certain people, and utilize that. That's what we're here. We're here to serve each other, and that's okay. So guys, this is Tamika Peters. I'm signing off, and stay tuned for more Grow Your Nonprofit podcast episodes.